Hey everybody, Megan Rupport here, and welcome to the Conscious Entrepreneur. Welcome today with me is Mia Saenz. She is a transformational spiritual practitioner and media host. She is the creator of Total Flow Mastery and Beautiful As You Are Now, two programs that bring self-love into our lives. Both programs provide inner peace and confidence, enabling people to live the life they dreamed. And through her media work, Mia is able to spread the messages of others. So welcome, Mia.
Thank you, Megan. It's a pleasure to be here with you and the audience.
It's so great to have you here as well. So can you dive a little bit deeper into what it is that you do in the world?
Yay! I love to dive. Yes. I have to say first that my biggest passion in life is what I've created in life. And so I love to aid people in their transformational stages from one place to another. Generally, that's to discover first self-love for the first time, or for those who want a very more of a spiritual depth, because I'm also, as a spiritual teacher, we go into spiritual aspects. I also love to connect women with their femininity. So in different programs, I combined them all together. So Total Flow Mastery is one of my masterful programs that I just so love. That's the core essence of my work, which is conscious self-love, understanding fear, shifting your mindset, and manifestation. Now in the beautiful class, the Beautiful As You Are Now, since I believe every woman and man is beautiful right now in this very moment, that's all about conscious self-love. Some of the other aspects in the Total Flow Mastery, because they just have to be a part of us growing. And then the feminine essence. We do discovering our inner rhythm, our feminine archetype. There's so many beautiful things that are involved in that. And my core essence of who I am and what I teach is to share with people love. I also work with some clients in relationships. We manifest a lot of relationships with my clients. Probably 50% or more is wanting to have that magical mate that we all desire, and really what that is bringing ourselves up to a certain level so that we automatically attract that. So that's my love, is to share with people love of all kinds.
And I didn't mention in the beginning, but you just recently launched a magazine. I would love if you could just mention what that is, because it's really awesome.
Oh, thank you. It is awesome. The magazine is Bella Mia, and has nothing to do with this Mia, except for that I'm the creator of it. The name alone stands for it, which is Beautiful Me, Beautiful Mind in Italian. So again, it's all about the individual who's reading the magazine. It's about the self-love, about the growth, the transformation, the holistic well-living, and the beautiful side of life. All of that is inside this. Physically, it looks, visually, it's a beautiful magazine. So there's no reason why we can't be healthy, whole, happy, and live a beautiful life as well, and have beautiful things around us.
Thanks for sharing. So, what inspired you to become an entrepreneur?
I'm laughing because it really is very. It's so funny. It just hit me very, very strange. I started out my career years ago as a nurse and worked hospice. Then I went into, I had a frozen food, boy, I'm so vast. I had a frozen food business with my husband. I had a pet store I owned. I actually then started working at a mainstream grocery store in a remote town, wanting to see what life was like outside of the city. Came back to LA, became in the entertainment financial world in entertainment banking, moved into motherhood, and then into becoming a librarian and falling in love with books again, because they were my first love as a child, and becoming a writer. And so when I had my epiphany moment, I guess, that I had to change, or I was literally going to die, I didn't know what I was going to do. I had spent 10 years, almost 10 years, immobilized in a walking coma. I slept probably 20 hours a day. I was depressed. I was physically ill because I'd been in an accident and hit on the head. And before that, 9/11 had happened, and just totally decimated who I was. My post-traumatic stress disorder from childhood came rearing its ugly head, and I had to deal with stuff. Granted, I had been practicing self-love since I became an adult, but it was time to move faster. So it's really crazy. So I felt like I didn't want to do just anything in this beautiful second part of my life. So I really opened it up to what could I do. So I started out as a writer, and then it just went into coaching and back into my relationship stuff and sexpert stuff, and then went into the more spiritual tone because that's who I am too. So we evolve as we evolve, so we create who we become, and that's really the beautiful thing in life. And that's what the beautiful thing for me is if you had told me 20 years ago that I would grow up to be who I am today, I'd probably just look at you and go, yeah, right, right. Okay. But now there's nothing greater that I could be. My husband and I ask this question to people because we love it, and we're actually going to do a show on it, going around interviewing people on the streets. And that is, if you had $1 million or if you had $10 million, what would you do? What would you do with it, and what would you do with your life? My answer, and why we want to create this show, is nothing different than I'm doing now. I would be doing the exact same thing. And I've felt that way for the last 5-6 years. So it truly is amazing when we know what we want to be. So for me, I'm doing exactly what I want to do, and I'm happiest that I could have ever been. But again, I created this life. It wasn't easy. I created my personal life as a business plan, and then my business plan as well for my business. So they had to go hand in hand together. I had to create myself first, and then my business. So that's why I'm an entrepreneur, and that's one reason why I love it.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a great little segue into my next question, which is, talking about that evolution, right? So as you've gained so much clarity on who you are, how has your business done the same?
Wow. I remember when I first was coaching years ago, and also when I switched gears from just relationship to discovering that the best way to have a happy relationship with a partner was to discover it for yourself. So that's where the self-love came in. How has it changed? I am strong. I am confident. I am empowered. And this may sound arrogant, but nobody can tell me what I'm doing is wrong because I've helped so many lives, and I am empowered by that. I am empowered by turning it over to God and just being the conduit. And I don't say, oh, Mia created this and that and this and that. No, I always say that this has come from a lifelong service to myself of creating myself alongside God, or through God. So for me, it's totally changed. It's been enriched. The deeper I go, the further and longer I go, the more amazing things I create. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes absolute sense.
Awesome.
For sure. And I just want to clarify for anybody out there, Mia and I have had this conversation before. If you're hearing the word God and it feels uncomfortable for you, you can just alternate another word for that.
Absolutely.
Whether it be universe or goddess or spirit or whatever that might be.
Creator, source, absolutely. Mm-hmm. And that's something that if somebody did want to have a conversation with me, that's one of the things I ask in an intake is, what is your spiritual preference? Are you religious? Are you spiritual? What do you call God? Because I'm not here to offend, I'm here to help. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Well, I remember there was a point in time where I would hear that, and this was really kind of before my awakening, and when I was going through, my own awakening and change, was that I would hear that and it would almost shut me down. And so I think it's really important to remind people that, we, as conscious individuals, we can actually relate quite deeply. And this is something that I've noticed, that I can relate on a much better level with people of any religion or any amount of devotion to their religion, as I have become more awake and more conscious than I ever did when I was, a practicing Catholic when I was younger. So I find it really interesting.
Yeah,
But I digress.
that's all right.
So, do you remember a specific aha moment that you felt like being a coach, being this person that felt really right and really in alignment? Or do you feel like that it was just a consistent evolution?
It was a consistent evolution, but let me tell you, even doing these interviews, they are aha moments that I am so empowered in what I do, and I love what I do, and I know that there's change for people, that it's the biggest blessing to share. We have, or at least I have, because I have placed that being a creator is who I am. I'm not going to stay the same, so I'm going to always be the best coach, spiritual teacher, whatever that I can be. So every moment is an aha moment. I get aha moments from my clients, from working with them on every level, whether it's people just coming in and transferring over into a more spiritual outlook on life, or ones who are very spiritual and they seek me out because they want to grow on that different level. So there's different levels that I teach. I teach the very elite, and I also teach the ones who are just coming over. My hand is there for everyone. So I have aha moments all the time. I mean, if I didn't have an aha moment in a day, it wouldn't be so much fun to live this life.
Yeah, for sure. So, how long would you say that it took you to create the coaching business as a sustainable business?
Well, let's see. When I first started out, most of my clients were from Facebook, and I never did a lot of advertising, and I never did a lot of preaching. So I would say I started to sustain myself within the first year. They do say that coaches don't make more than $20,000 a year. I had another income coming in, just a natural income, not from an outside job. I haven't done that in years. So I didn't really pay it much attention. I think for me, I was very blessed, very fortunate, because I could continue to manifest without the fear. Have I since then seen my business go up and down? There are moments when we do where we see less clients just because of the turn of cycle, thoughts, seasons. But when you get established, you still have a steady income. So how long did it take? It probably took about maybe 3 years and 4 years of good. That sounds funny. And 4 years of good.
And along that time, what would you say were the two biggest hurdles in creating that sustainability?
Seriously, it was not having the right business coach to teach me. I didn't have the knowledge. Corporate America is nothing like being an entrepreneur. Absolutely nothing. When I had my frozen food business with my husband, we knew how to work it. That was being an entrepreneur. I've been an entrepreneur my whole life, off and on. Being a nurse, which was my first thing that I did, and working in a hospice, that's for corporate America. I would not know how to, I mean, now I would, but I would not know how at the time to run, a hospice facility and to make money off of it. When I owned a pet store, that was more simplistic. It was more, you sell items and you get money coming in. They see the sign and that's it. Being an entrepreneur today has its really amazing value because the internet is so huge and so large. But getting somebody to work with is really important. The first several years of my entrepreneurship was really difficult. I paid out a lot of money to people that didn't teach me anything. I was lost. I mean, literally, I felt lost. If I wasn't so well liked on Facebook, I probably wouldn't have any clients because I didn't know what to do. Mm-hmm. I did a lot of praying and meditating, and a lot of things came in. One of the first things that came into me like 7 years ago was to make my platform media-based. So I am a media host. I have radio shows, I have online shows, and I now have a magazine. So I'm so grateful that I listened to my higher being, or God, creator, source, that said, when I said, how am I going to do this? And the idea was, your platform is media. I mean, just as clear as that, your platform is media. And I was very, very obedient, Megan. Not just with that, but with some of my coaches. My very first mentor, who branded me the Passion Muse, which I rebranded myself back to Mia Saenz. But as a Passion Muse, she said, you need to have a seminar on your connecting to your passion core, and you need to do it fairly soon. And I said, okay. So within 6 weeks, I had a really big, really big for a first time out, brand new public, empowerment speaker. I had been a published author, but really fast, 6 weeks. So from the time she said go, she was like, nobody does it this fast, Mia. And I said to her, I just need guidance. I'll do it as fast as you tell me. I just need guidance. So it was amazing. 37 people showed up to the, which is really good for your first event, live event, to the Martin Luther King Library in Santa Monica. And that was very, very, very empowering. I mean, so empowering. I knew I was on the right track. People were moved. I connected with people's energy. From there, you couldn't turn me away if you lit me on fire. I know that sounds terrible, but seriously, that would be the opposite of joy. And so I desired this life so much. I could see that I could help people. And I was so inspired just from my first main gig out that I did everything I could to become the best coach that I could be, teacher, inspiration. My business has grown so much, from the relationship to the sexpert to the self-love to the spiritual teacher to an author to a publisher to, oh goodness, there isn't anything that stops me. And so that's what the glory is behind seeing your own value and honoring who you are. But it takes work. It takes a lot of self-discovery and interpersonal work to get to the point that you can shift your focus, you can shift your mindset, you stay focused, you stay on track, you know how to work the tools so that you know how to manifest things, so you know how to bring it in. Are there successful entrepreneurs that are non-spiritual? Of course there are, but they use similar tools. They use focus, they use mindset, they use talking to themselves. They study and they learn from other people. One thing that I did want to say was, I teach a business course in addition for healers, and also there's actually a documentarian who's taking my course too, and actually a professor at a university state who teaches body image and psychology. But the thing about this that I want to say is, when we learn how to, as an entrepreneur, when we learn how to get out there, when we learn how to convert our clients into currency or into making money, and people begin to see us and recognize us because they're Googling us and we keep popping up, that's when you know that things are amazing, because you're already having lots of clients coming in and you're already having visibility. So one of the little aspects that I do is I teach people what I learned, how I learned my process for me. And a lot of it is media stuff, because it wouldn't be me if I didn't teach that aspect.
Mm-hmm. So have you had any major crises of faith along your path? I know everybody giggles when I ask that question. It's a daily practice, right? I would love if you could share, perhaps the one that has really opened you up to where you are now.
Well, this is very still kind of near because it was last July. But I'd like to share it because being a metaphysician my whole life, being a spiritual practitioner for many years, people would say, well, that shouldn't happen to you. Of course, that's judging. But or maybe they wouldn't. Maybe that was just part of the religious aspect of the metaphysical religion that I was in growing up, where people were judgy. But last year I had a stress attack that was really bad in July that mimicked a heart attack. And I was just finishing up I had closed my office for 8 months because we had a death in the family and I had to take care of everything. And I brought my business back in May of last year. And I had a beautiful interview series. I still kept my radio show, even though I, drove to the station every Monday and met with my producer, and we'd go on air and do this great show. And I still did that during my time, during my kind of downtime. But in July, I had, we would say, a heart attack. It's probably a stress attack. But what showed up for several days was a heart attack within the blood, within the EKG, within everything. The doctor told me that I had, and I couldn't move. I was in bed for more than a full week. It took me about 2.5 months. Well, it took me 6 weeks to be able to walk, and it took me about another 2 or 2.5 months to actually get back onto my walking pace and push myself. So we're not talking about that long ago, like it was November that I was actually starting to exercise again. That was a huge crunch on faith, except for I wouldn't stop, meaning that I worked on so much mindset and focus. You couldn't stop me. I still had the end of my series to produce, meaning I had to get it prepared. I didn't have the assistant or the project manager that I have now, which I'm so grateful that I have her. But I had to do this myself. So I had to get up out of bed and prepare even some of the editing, because this happened during this show. So I had to kind of work and keep going on task, because this was what I had to do. And I had to do a lot of mindset, a lot of focus, a lot of meditation, a lot of prayer, and a lot of rest, and a lot of love from my husband just holding me. Did I want to give up? No. I wanted to continue with what I was doing. The most amazing thing, Megan, is in July, there was all this information about my heart had 1% damage and this and that. I went back after more tests in October, end of September, October, and they said that there was no damage to my heart whatsoever. It was as if I didn't have a heart attack. So what does that say? That says either I had a healing or they were way the hell off. And I don't think they were way the hell off, because a neurologist or a cardiologist doesn't say, here's the test scores you have, your test, you have 1% damage. So miracles happen, and I've had many exit points in my life, and I've not exited yet. Even the fact of changing my life to become who I am today. I was dying then too. My organs were crashing. I had 2 years left to live before they thought that I would be off this planet. And I said, no, I'm not going to. If God takes me out, fine. But I'm going to do everything that I can to create the life that I need to do now, because my life was shitty for the first, up till this point, and I'm going to create something amazing. Was it really shitty? No, excuse my language, but it wasn't harmonious. I had a rough childhood. I had a rough marriage. I got sick for many years. So to the average person looking at my life, and people do say, oh my God, your life was so horrible. Look at you now. It's amazing. And it's like, yes, it was amazing, but I did all the work to get here. Whether it was meditating, praying, understanding my connection to the divine, becoming divine, all of that took work. It took a lot of practice. And that's one thing about whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're trying to save your life, whether you're trying to discover self-love, whether you're trying to become more spiritual, more loving, whatever it is, it takes practice and patience, which is a compassion that we show ourselves.
Yeah, that's amazing, and such a beautiful way to come to the realization that you are here for such a bigger purpose, and be able to heal yourself like that is just wow. Yeah.
Thank you.
So, is there any specific advice that you have received, or anything that's happened for you that empowered you to chase your dreams?
Well, I teach something in the very beginning with certain people, depending on what level they are and what they're seeking from me, is I teach a dream, believe, create. And it's really what shifted my life when I was told I had less than 2 years to live. And I woke up on my birthday that year, and I knew I was dying. And I thought, I'm going to allow myself, as my birthday present, which just sounds so silly. I should have done it sooner. I'm going to allow myself to dream what it would be like if I was happy. If my life was in order, what would that look like? So I literally took the time to imagine what I would look like physically, what my relationship with a mate would look like. It wasn't with my husband that I had at the time. How I could be there for my children, what that relationship would be, what I could create for a job, for a living, what my house would look like, what my friends would look like. I took the time to do that, and it was so beautiful, Megan. I mean, that was the most beautiful vision I'd ever been on. I mean, it was incredible. And I tell people, dream big. You can always go down, but you can never go up. Dream big. So it was so magical, and I wanted it. I wanted it so badly that I decided I could do it. And so I set forth to create that life. And it was as simple as that. Dream, believe, create, all in a morning on August 14th, 2008 was when I shifted things for myself. Totally incredible. And it paid off for me. I remember saying to my youngest son, because our life was about ready to change here. I had been an invalid for several years from an accident, almost in a walking coma for a complete of 10 years. It was really a rough existence before I shifted out of this. And I also was told I wasn't going to live. And so I said to him, I said this to my youngest son, Morgan, I said, I'm going to try to change my life. So if even because they knew that I was, the prognosis that I wasn't going to live very long. And so I said, even if my last legacy was to show you that I tried, honey. Whew, this is emotional. I'm going to do that. And my son said, Mommy, I'm glad. I want you to be happy. And so he watched me. They both watched me, both of my sons and my husband at the time. They watched me shift and change. I built my inner core and got out of that wheelchair. I discovered an eating plan to be healthier and lose a ton of weight, a workout program. When January 1st, 2009 came around, I said no to nothing, meaning that everything was a yes. Taking my kids here and there, even though I hadn't been able to do it for 3 years because of the pain, I knew it would get quicker and quicker and faster. Otherwise, God would take me out. That was my thing. If I'm not meant to be here, I won't be here. But I won't be here if I don't try. So I did put forth the effort and the desire and the passion and the creation. And I didn't know that I would be this, I almost said this incredible woman today. Mm-hmm. And I will say that, I'll stick with that, this incredible woman today. I've built my self-love, I've built my confidence, I've built my creation of existence. I love my life, I love myself, and I love what I've built. I have to say that. And everyone has this divine right to do the exact same thing, to build what they love and to absolutely love and be happy with themselves.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. Congratulations. And you are an incredible woman. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Own that.
I do, sister.
Oh, yeah. So what advice do you have for someone who is just starting out and looking to gain clarity to move forward?
Starting out and gaining clarity to move forward. I would suggest to anybody and everybody just starting out, go on a path of self-discovery. Now, I used to say go on a path of self-love, but I hit more mainstream people when I say self-discovery. Your journey is yours and it's magnificent. So understand who you are. And that does mean understand your connection to self, understand the love for you, because nobody will love us the way that we can love ourselves. It's just impossible for an exterior person to love us the way that we want them to. And when we build, without being disappointed, when we build ourselves up and understand and build that connection and get inside there and rework our life, our inner child, our younger child through a process that I'm going to give as a free gift. The first track is Inner Child Meditation. When you get in there and you rebuild that with yourself, it's incredible because you re-raise your little self to emotional maturity, something that we didn't have, not the proper emotional maturity. Very few people are emotionally, express that emotional intelligence, just off the bat without even trying. So when we get in there and rebuild that, and I also recommend mirror work, when we get in and know who we are and love ourselves and remove the exterior of our body. I'm not talking about removing our body or being in our head. I'm talking about not being numb, understanding your senses, all of them, feeling who you are and not being afraid that your body's tingling because you feel amazing, because you have that energy flowing through you. There are so many things about being alive, truly being alive, that are so magnificent. So discover who you are. That's the very first and primary thing. That's the first and the last. that we'll ever have to do to then have the rest of our world come together and answers flow. Because that's an opening right there for divine love within ourselves. And when we have that divine love within ourselves, that true pure essence of the real person that we are, there is nothing else greater. Absolutely nothing else greater. Everything comes to us, ideas, clarifications, how to do everything. Because we are connected to Source. We know everything if we just be quiet and be calm and raise ourselves and surrender to what truly is.
Mm-hmm. Amen. So if you look back now, did you ever believe that having the life you have was possible?
I never knew how to dream this big until I did. Until I asked myself, when is enough enough?
Yeah. And so what would you say living the dream means to you?
It's everything. It's freedom. It's total freedom. Total freedom and love.
Oh, I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Oh, wow. This has been such a great conversation, Mia.
It has.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing your story. It is inspiring, very.
Thank you so much, Megan. It was a pleasure to be here with you all.
Yeah. So I know that you do have a special offering for all of our listeners out there. So if you want to just tell them what that is all about.
Sure. My first one is my CD that I mentioned. It's called Spirit Life, and it's a transformational guided healing meditation. They're processes. Some of them are more processes than just guided meditations. And what it does is the first one is the inner child meditation. So that really reworks our inner child. It helps grows it. And there's an instruction that I'm going to have to get Megan, but I'll just say it here really quickly. And it's, we go through the odd years. And actually, I'm going to have it put up on my website. So just go to miasaenz.com and check out the instructions for that really is the best way to do it if you get confused on the instructions. But we do the odd years, and we spend at least minimum a month on each age bracket, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, and 15. And when you get to know who you were as a child within a process like that and re-love and nurture that child within, that's when the emotional intelligence grows. And that's when the love comes. It's like you've never experienced before. That's when your life will totally shift. The value, the honor, everything is there. And also, then there's the contentment, which is on track 2. And it's more or less what the divine thinks of us. I went into the studio and just downloaded. I just said, okay, Father, I'm open to just letting people know how much you love them. So the words that come out of my mouth were really a divine download. Number 3 is restful intentions. It helps us sleep better at night, reprogram ourselves to wake up right before our alarm goes off, and to have a blissful, peaceful day. And number 4 is grounding. How to get back out of the funk and into a joy-filled, heart-based life. And so that's my gift. I also would like to allow you guys in to receive free Bella Mia magazines right now. She does go to paid subscription in a while, so enjoy her now. And she's beautiful. It's a very beautiful magazine, and it's transformational, and I think you'll love it.
Oh, wow. What an amazing plethora of awesome offerings. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, this has been wonderful. Thank you.
It's been my pleasure, and thank you to you and the audience very much.
Yeah, and yes, to everybody out there listening, thank you so much for being here and for sharing with us. And I look forward to catching up with you really soon. So everybody take care. Have a beautiful day.
Bye.
Bye.